Hey everybody, welcome back to the Working Man's Whiskey. I'm Bobby. Been a while, guys. It's probably been about a month since I've done my last review. But it's Saturday. Work's been crazy, but luckily I have weekends off, and I felt like this was a good time to kind of get back in the saddle. I got the house to myself today, so here we are. Wanted to talk about James E. Pepper's 1776 straight bourbon whiskey. This is 100 proof. And I'll read you a little bit of this, what it says in the bottom of the bottle here. It says, "In this bottle lies the oldest and most legendary whiskey legacy in American history. The same old style and methods have been preserved and restored in this fine whiskey." So I want to tell you guys a little bit about James E. Pepper, the person, and the whiskey. So James E. Pepper, it actually started back after the American Revolution, hence the 1776 on there. And James E. Pepper's grandfather was the guy that started it all. His name was Elijah Pepper. And that's when he started making whiskey, right after the Revolution. He made it and sold it, did well. And then when he passed away, he left it to a guy named Oscar Pepper, his son, Oscar Pepper, who you guys, you might recognize the name. Oscar Pepper, a legend in the whiskey world. And when Oscar Pepper died, he left it to his son, James E. Pepper, guy on this bottle here. At that point, it was called the Old Pepper Distilling Company, I believe, or distillery. And so James E. Pepper took it over in 1867. And he was the one that took it to another level at the time. He hung out in New York a lot with guys like Rockefeller, Vanderbilt, Teddy Roosevelt, just surrounding himself with these people, and became a powerhouse himself in the whiskey world. So he ran it for a long time. Believe he died in 1906, and at that point, I think his widow sold the distillery to somebody else. I'm not sure who, but she sold the distillery, and they were one of the very few distilleries to get the designation or permission to make and sell their whiskey during Prohibition as a medicinal whiskey. So they've they withstood the test of time, at least until that point. Kept on going for years, guys. And in 1958, the whiskey industry kind of fell on hard times, and at that point, the distillery was kind of lost. And it wasn't until 50 years later, 2008, that a guy named Amir PA, I believe is his name. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but Amir PA, he did some research, and he saw this family and what they've done in the whiskey world, and he felt like it was his job to kind of resurrect the name, the recipe, all that stuff, and just bring it back and do it justice. So Amir PA 2008 brought this back, and it's supposed, from what I hear, it's supposed to be pretty close to the legendary juice that was in the old bottles, But James E. Pepper was a fascinating guy. There's also, this is the bourbon here. There's also a rye version of this, and I believe a barrel proof version of this as well. When he died, at the time of his death, James E. Pepper had put aside 300 barrels of barrel proof whiskey, undiluted, all that, unfiltered, and he claimed it was the best whiskey that the world has ever seen at that point. And it just might have been, they still have a barrel proof version of this whiskey, and I'd like to try it at some point. It's a little more expensive. I think it's around, I want to say it's around $40-$50, something like that. It's not too bad, but this one here was $26. I've seen it as low as 20 22 or 23, as high as $30, maybe a little bit more than that. So it's right in there with our kind of our price point on this channel. And at the time of his death, though, James E. Pepper he was known as already known as a legend in the whiskey world. So I really wanted to try this out. Um, I like I said, I recognize the name Pepper, but mostly from Oscar Pepper, his father. Um, I didn't know about about this whole legacy. As I did the research, guys, it was really fascinating, and I would definitely recommend going on to the James E. Pepper website, jamesepepper.com. Check out the story. They have a really good story on there about the background. Another thing is during his lifetime, James E. Pepper, he was the one who, a bartender, I believe I want to say it was in New York, a bartender created the old-fashioned cocktail in James E. Pepper's, kind of a tribute to James E. Pepper. And at that point, Pepper, he was pretty thrilled about that, and he kind of made it his little bit of his mission to expose the world, introduce the world to the old fashioned. So the old fashioned, if you guys like the old fashioned, this is the guy behind it right here. At least getting it out there, and it was for him. So. And also, I want to tell you guys, this is 38% rye in the mash bill. So for a bourbon, that's pretty high. They have a rye version of this, as I said, but this bourbon here has 38% rye in the mash bill. So pretty good. So if you guys if you're into drinking cocktails, I would definitely recommend trying this out in an old fashioned or a Manhattan, whatever you guys like. So let's try this out. All right. So you look at this, and I didn't see, there was no age statement, guys, but it's 100 proof, as I said. I look at this though, and it's pretty light on the color. Maybe like a gold, maybe just a bit darker than gold +1. But yeah, it's it looks like can't tell for sure, but I would guess this is a pretty young whiskey, maybe 3 or 4 years old, which to me, that's fine. I mean, there's no problem with a young whiskey. Let's give it a nose. All right, guys, on the nose, you get a big hit of rye. If I didn't know better, I'd say this was a rye whiskey. It's got some good spice on the nose, a little bit of that, just a little bit of that sawdust character. I do want to tell you guys, by the way, this is produced and bottled by James E. Pepper and Company, Bardstown, Kentucky, but it is distilled in Indiana, so MGP product. I don't have a problem with that. A lot of people kind of get tired of MGP, having a hand in a lot of whiskeys these days, but if the juice is good, that's all that matters to me, really. So, yeah, you get spice, you get some vanilla in there, a little bit of sweetness, like a toffee type sweetness, maybe a slight bit of corn sweetness, but not a whole lot. Let's go for a taste. And on the palate, that rye, oh man, that rye hits you really good. Oh, this is a good whiskey. That rye gets really good. Definitely some vanilla in there. A little bit of that toffee, as we talked about. Guys, I get like a chocolatey, like cocoa note in this though. It's got kind of a unique taste there in the back. But it's a really good whiskey. And I paid, as I think I said, $25 or $26 for this. And I'm glad I did. This is This is one, as I said, I've seen it for a while. Never bought it, never tried it before, and um, it's a really good whiskey. I could see this. I mean, I'm going to sip on this, but um, I can see this being good in a cocktail. Yeah, I can appreciate a good Manhattan or a good old fashioned, and I think it'd be a pretty versatile whiskey here. I look forward to trying the rye at some point, the rye version of this, or the barrel proof. Uh, it's a little more expensive, but maybe one of these days we'll try it out. But I really enjoy this. This is really really good, and for a rating, I'd probably give this like an 87 out of 100. Take another sip. That rye spice, really good, really good. Also has a little bit of like a clove type spice in there as well. But it's got sweetness. There's a little oak in there too. Definitely a little oak in there. But it's got that good sweetness, good spice. That little bit of vanilla in there, little bit of oak in there, and it's a really good whiskey. I mean, there's nothing too fancy about this, but I would definitely recommend trying it out. Whether you guys want to try it neat, try it in a cocktail, definitely worth the money. 25, 26 bucks a bottle. And that's about it for this one, guys. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please do. Also, check me out on Facebook. Look forward to talking to you guys on there. I'll try to get back to you as often as I can. As I said, times have been kind of crazy lately, but hoping to get back doing this a little bit more often, guys. I have another one lined up for you guys before too long. I said it a while back, but I'd like to do a kind of a competition review, one whiskey versus another. Also, I'll tell you guys right now about another review I want to do. So, there are a couple stores here in town that, if you guys are familiar with Jim Beam Black, I reviewed Jim Beam Black not too long, or actually it's been a while now. But the original Jim Beam Black, I believe, was the double-aged 8-year-old, 8-year-old whiskey. There are a couple stores here in town that still have the 8-year-old double-aged version of Jim Beam Black, and I want to try it out. I want to try it out against the new stuff. The stuff that's just extra aged or whatever they call it. Just see how different it is, and kind of give you guys my report on that. So we'll do that before too long. And that's what we have going on in the near future. Happy to be back with you guys, and I hope to talk to you soon. Hope all is well, and looking forward to some feedback. So guys, go ahead and share your comments, and we'll get back together soon. Till next time, cheers.